Today we'll start with the new topic, that is design of grid slab. In the previous semester, you have gone through design of flat slabs. So, in the same line of action, we will cover the grid slab in this course. See, both the flat slab and grid slab are used to cover the large floor areas. So, uh, so, so the grid slabs are also one of the alternative to cover the large floor area. So, so let us start. So, first we'll cover the introduction. So, the grid slabs, or sometimes they are also called coffered floors or coffered slabs. They are used to cover large floor area. Okay, large column free floor, that is column free column large floor area. Simply you can write large column free floor area. Then they find applications for large halls, marriage halls, or any other purpose, public area. Then auditorium, then lecture halls, showrooms, theaters. And sometimes the entrance of college building, you would find a grid floor. Even in our college, we have this grid floor entrance of college building. Office buildings near the reception area, where the large area is required. Such in office buildings also you would find such slabs. Then halls in hotels, and many more applications are there where the grid slabs can be used. Sometimes they are also provided for architectural purpose. Sometimes provided for architectural purpose. Usually, they are used to cover spans up to spans ranging from 10 to 25 meter. Usually used to cover span ranging from cover spans ranging from 10 meter to 25 meter. It's, they are economical within this span. Now, so they, they are actually the grid floors, or sometimes called as coppered floors. They consist of long span beams placed at regular intervals in both the directions, resulting in both the directions with monolithic slab on the top. Okay, so you would find such So so we have beams. These are the beams in along x direction. Same way, we have beams in in perpendicular direction or in and there are no columns. The columns may be provided on the periphery, but the columns are not provided on at the you can have the columns on the periphery, but there are no columns in the interior because we need the column free area, and usually the spacing, these are very closely spaced beams in both the directions, and this spacing is usually 1 meter to 2 meter spacing. This is around 1 meter to 2 meter. Okay, same way here also. The spacing is 1 meter to 2 meter. Now, these beams can be both beams in both the directions may be perpendicular to each other, or they may not be perpendicular to each other. If they are orthogonal to each other, then we can have square orthogonal grid or rectangular orthogonal grids, and if they are diagonal, then such grids are called diagrids. This is grid floor or copper floor. See, you would find different names in sometimes it is also called grid floor. It is also called copper floor. It is sometimes referred as ribbed slab. It is also referred as waffle slab. And sometimes even it is referred as voided slab because uh, uh, the if we cut this if we cut some portion of the tension zone or some part of the compression zone of a solid slab, then they look uh, they can be seen as a voided slab. Though voided slab are different from these slabs. Now, so now the grid floors, depending on the placement of the beam, depending on placement of beams in two directions, uh, we have we have orthogonal grid floors. Now this can again be square orthogonal grid floor, or it can be a rectangular orthogonal grid floor. Okay. Or it can be a diagrid. Means in orthogonal grid floor, beams in both directions are orthogonal to each other. Beams in both directions are orthogonal to each other. Orthogonal means perpendicular to each other. Perpendicular to each other. Whereas in case of diagrids, the beams intersect at diagonal. At now let us see what are these. See, in case of orthogonal grids, let us say these are the beams in y direction. So here, in case of square orthogonal grid, the spacing in the beams are perpendicular to each other. Beams in both, this is square, these are square orthogonal grid floor. Okay. Now in this case, the spacing in both the directions, let us say this is Sx and this be Sy, they are same. So in case of square orthogonal grid floors, uh, beams along x direction and beams along y directions are perpendicular to each other. Beams in x direction are perpendicular to beams in y direction. Second thing, Sx is equal to Sy, means the spacing of both the beams in both the directions will be same. Then we can have listen. Sir. And in rectangular grid floor, the beams are also orthogonal to each other, but here the spacing will be different in both the directions. Yes, so here in this case, let this be spacing of beams along x, and let sy be the spacing of the beams along y. This is y direction, and this is x direction. So such a grid is called a rectangular orthogonal grid. This is rectangular orthogonal grid flow. So here also we have the beams in x direction perpendicular to the beams in y direction, but here spacing is different. Okay. Then the third type is diagrid, in which the beams are diagonally connected. Say for example, this is any floor area. So in this, the beams are connected diagonally. Same way, uh, the spacing should be spacing between two consecutive beams should be uniform. So let us say this is S, so this is also S. Same way, if we in perpendicular direction, let us say this is S dash, this is also S dash. Such type is called diagrid. And here the beams intersect diagonally. Beams intersect diagonally. Now, sometimes uh, a portion of the panel may be provided with this grid flow, and at the ends we can have solid slab. Uh, so for negative bending moment, for negative bending moment, the ribs. See, if we see the cross section of these beams, they are like T slabs with closely spacing, and the depth of the rib is this is the cross section. This portion is called rib. So for negative bending moment, the ribs act as act as rectangular section, because at negative the for negative bending moment, tension will be at the top. So this cannot be considered as a plane section. The ribs act as a rectangular section, since slab is in tension, or we can say the plane is in tension. Slab, that means plane is in tension J. So hence near the zone, hence the zone near negative bending moment, zone near negative bending moment are made of solid slab. So let us say this is beam, another beam, consider this panel. So in that case, this portion is design is where there can be negative bending moment. They are provided with solid slab. So these are the zones where negative bending moment. Near the support we have negative bending moment. So at those locations we may provide solid slab, and in between we can have the grid floor. So such a combinations can also be done if we have um, if the negative bending moment is more. So here we provide the solid slab near beams, and these are the grid slab. Okay. These are the beams, and we have some columns here. These are columns. Okay, now next we discuss the size of such beams. What should be the size of beams? Size of beams and topping. As discussed, usually the spacing of such beam, spacing of beams beams is usually between 1 meter to 2 meter. Even sometimes less than 1 meter, around 0.75 meter is also provided. Then the depth of beam is usually between 1/25 to 1/20 of span. That depends upon the loading intensity. Depending on load intensity, then the width of beam width of beams is kept around 1/3 to 1/4 of depth. Okay, so these are the thumb rules which are followed in practice to dimension the grid floor beams of the grid floor. But here, note that this width should not be less than, but not less than 1/4 of the rib, 1/4 of rib depth, or 65 mm, whichever is more. This is the rib depth of the rib. This is rib depth. This is the width of the rib. Now this is about the beam. Now for topping, the thickness of the topping slab is quite less. Because the span between the two beams is very less, which is around 1 to 2 meter. The thickness required for the slab or topping is very less. The thickness is quite less, since the span of slab is less. Because the grid spacing is small. Grid spacing is small. And the reinforcements in topping slab are provided at center to take care of positive as well as negative bending moment in slab. So the minimum thickness of topping slab, so the minimum thickness of topping slab should not be the topping slab. Minimum thickness of the topping slab required should be equal to 2 times cover plus bar dia, because if this is the slab and if this is the reinforcement provided, which is provided at the center, you require cover on both sides plus the bar diameter. So next is how to analyze such uh, slabs. So next is analysis of slab. Now they can be there are various methods. Some are approximate methods, and some are based on the plate theory. So the methods of analysis. The most suitable method is finite element method using computer program. Finite element method using computer program. Or commercially available packages. Then the plate theories can be used. Using plate theory. For manual calculation, you can use plate theory. And one of the popular plate theory used for analysis is Timoshenko's plate theory. Then IS code, as per IS code recommendations, these are approximate method. IS code recommendations. And next is Rankine's Grashof method. These two methods are approximate methods. Whereas the earlier two, they are more or less exact method. And throughout this course, we will be discussing the Rankine's Grashof methods. So we'll go through the derivation of Rankine's Grashof methods. We'll also go through some IS code provisions given in IS 456 for the design of the lift slab. So in the next class, we'll go through some IS codes uh, uh, specified for the analysis of grid slab, and then we'll go through the theory of Rankine-Grashof method, and then we'll take some examples of grid flow and analyze and design using Rankine-Grashof methods. So, any doubt up till now? Okay, so today we have gone through the introduction of grid slab. Grid slabs are used to cover large column-free floor areas. They are one of the alternatives used for covering large floor areas along with the flat slab, pre-stressed slabs, and other uh, uh, pre-tension or post-tension slabs. Then they find applications for large marriage halls, public areas, auditoriums, lecture halls, showrooms, theaters. Generally, some entrances of college buildings or public buildings, office buildings are provided with such grid slabs for architectural purposes. Then even halls in hotels are provided sometimes with grid slab. Then they are usually used to cover spans ranging from 10 meter to 25 meter. That is the economical span range for such slabs. Then uh, basically these grid floors, they consist of long span beams which are placed at regular intervals in both the directions with monolithic slabs on top of them. So we have beams in both the directions, and they are spaced at a regular interval. Means this spacing will be constant, and they have a slab on top of it. Uh, they are also referred as copper floors, ribbed slabs, Whipple slabs. These are the different terms used for these grid floors. Then, depending on the placements of the beams in two directions, we can have orthogonal grid floors or we can have diagrids. In orthogonal grid floors, the beams in both the directions are orthogonal to each other, means they are perpendicular to each other. And if the spacing in both the directions are same, then they are square orthogonal grid floors. And if the spacing in both the directions are different, then they are rectangular orthogonal grid floors. Then the diagrids in diagrids the beams intersects diagonally. So this figure shows the the plan of diagrids. Usually the beams in this uh, grid floors, they are T beams with closely spacing uh, with closely spaced T beams. uh, so they are analyzed and designed as T beams, except where there is negative bending moment. The top slab is in tension, so the section is rectangular near the negative bending moment zone. So sometimes where there is negative bending moment, a solid slab may be provided if the negative bending moment is too much, which cannot be uh, resisted by the rectangular sections of the rib. Then we may provide the solid slab. Then the size of the beams and topping, usually it is between this spacing between the beams is between 1 meter to 2 meter. The depth is usually 1 by 25th to 1 by 20th of the span, and the width of the beam is around 1/3 to 1/4 of the depth. But note that it should not be less than 1/4 of the depth of the rib, or 65 mm, whichever is less, whichever is more. Sorry. Then the thickness of the slab is quite less, because the span of these beams are very less. which is around 1 to 2 meter. So the thickness of the topping slab is very less, and the reinforcement is usually provided at the center to take care of both positive as well as negative bending moments. And so the minimum thickness required for the topping slab should be at least 2 times cover plus bar diameter. Now, the analysis of slabs, there are various methods by which we can analyze such slabs. We can use finite element method using any computer code or commercially available packages. We can use plate theory, such as Timoshenko's plate theory. Then IS code recommendations are there, which gives some bending moment coefficients by which we can find the bending moments and shear force. Then, but there are some limitations. We will discuss these limitations of this code codal recommendations in the next class. And next is the Rankine's Grashof method. Both the IS code recommendations and coefficients and the Rankine's Grashof methods, they are approximate method. And throughout this course, we will be discussing Rankine's Grashof method. So in the next class, we'll go through some IS code recommendations, and then we'll go through theory of Rankine's Grashof method. So I hope this is clear to you. If you have any doubt, we can discuss now. Any doubt in this?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
सर, जे सॉलिड स्लॅब वाळो जे पोर्शन છે એમાં જે સેન્ટ્રल ગ્રીડ જે